Okay, we are streaming. We have your Genji, Silver Genji. We did a thing with you here, and you are in about Silver. So we talked about how to perhaps get a little less comp anxiety, and now we're going to get into the actual review. Okay, so we're looking at here, we're throwing some poke, fine. Probably want to get up this faster. Like, you sort of have to make up your mind here if you either wanted to go up this faster and go less deep to do this, or you wanted to actually go around the corner so that you had protection as you climbed this in case that happened. That was a weird compromise that you made. Okay.
Yeah.
This is basically immediately gonna have to be a deflect. Like, this is a really weird challenge in my mind. That's a mercy boosted Hanzo. Like, that can headshot you and that can headshot you real good. So like, if he draws his bowstring at all, I'm already hitting deflect. Like, you see, this isn't really you respecting the Hanzo. That's a damage boosted Hanzo that has drawn his arrow. If he releases his arrow, you could be one shot right now, right?
Yeah.
And you're not really gonna have time to react to that, are you? I mean, maybe you are.
Yeah.
You have to tell me. I don't know what your reaction speed is.
I mean, it's really hard. I cannot guarantee the deflect here.
Right. So at this point, with the Genji with the Hanzo staring right at you, and him having one-shot ability, and him even having a mercy boost, this probably needed to immediately be deflect, as much as that sucks. Rather than you trying to greed extra damage here. And fortunately, it wasn't a headshot, but.
I require healing.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're waiting too long down here and you're actually making her struggle. You're totally safe down here. You immediately, though, want to climb right back up, and you're actually safe up here. It's just giving your Ana an easier angle, and this is where you're going to want to threaten from anyway, right? Because you want to threaten from these different angles. If your Zarya is threatening down here, you would like to threaten from up here. So we're already going to climb back up. We're not going to wait to get healed to climb back up, because climbing back up is safe. Unless there's like a Winston or a Diva or something right here, this is safe, and we didn't see anything jump up here. So let's set up rather than you're actually making it harder for her to heal you. You're tucked there. Okay.
Yeah, I kind of realized that. That's why I was kind of moving over here to make her notice.
Yep. I hear ya. So that happened, and now we're in this situation where now it's going to take us more time to go up over here, which would actually still be worth investing, but you've seen it's left us in this poor situation where we're not really making them think about a second angle right now. We're not really like double jumping up here and raining down shurikens on them, which would be great. We're basically throwing shurikens from the same direction that our team is shooting from, which isn't really all that amazing, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's fun. Gamebuster thinks you might be the official Genji voice. Maybe my Discord was misleading there. Are you the official Genji voice?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just a question over here.
Sure.
So basically, if I wanted to go for maybe max all charge over here, because particularly I don't know I don't know about NA or other regions, but particularly in the region in which I play, the Anas usually don't nano the Genji, or even if we ask them to, just because they don't trust. And plus, even I am not that good at nanoblading.
Okay.
So even I don't go forward and ask Diana to nano me when I blade. So, but suppose if I was going for max salt charge, maybe if I was playing with a friend or something.
Sure.
Should I have stayed down and poked the Diva out on her crit rather than standing on the high ground over here?
generally no. So let's go over here. So here you are, you're doing your work. I see the diva that you're talking about, and I see why you might think that. But what it comes down to is actually, even though you might feel like, oh, hey, maybe I can get her crit box better from here than I can from here, a couple things go against you. One of which is from here, it's much easier for them to look at you while looking at your team, or to try to hit your team and you accidentally take junk damage that is meant for them, like shots that are meant for them hit you, or it's faster for them to aim at you than it would be otherwise. Their defensive tools, like Defense Matrix, go in one direction, and it's the direction that both you and your team are shooting from. So I understand why you might be thinking, hey, I want the crit box, I go from here. But the truth is, what this does to the other team, they're going to be slower to turn and shoot at you, and them being slower to turn and shoot at you is generally going to actually be worth more ult charge. You're also going to have more ability to go, oh, you turned and looked at me, Hanzo? Let me just back up for 1.5 seconds, and now come back and do damage again. And that's going to be better than the uptime you get for trying to play around here. You're going to get chipped down faster. This isn't any easier or harder to heal for you, Anna, than you being over here is. And, like, we compromise those directional defenses. Like, oh, we take cover against your team. Well, you don't take cover against me because I just step out one step further and rain shurikens down type thing. Like, this actually does help quite a bit, both from it's like a buff to your team or a debuff to the other team, however you want to think about it. Even if you're not going to get those diva crits, you're going to get crits on everyone else a lot easier, right? Like, everyone else's hitbox is right above them, and you can go, oh, I guess I'll pester Hanzo a little bit. Oh, I guess I'll pester, maybe I'll finish off the Zarya type thing. You see where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Okay. And as for the Annas not nanoing you, is that a recent, last 3 or 4 months thing, or is that they just don't in your region?
Yeah, it basically what happens is usually they go for the Reinhardt when he shatters, or they go for some hit scan character which might be playing on the team, or they just nano Bobs and stuff. But they never it's really rare for them to nano Genjis, even if because sometimes I even ask when I'm not playing with my friends. Many times I play with my friends, and usually one of them is an Ana, so he nanos me. But when I get paired with random Anas, even if I ask them to nano me, they just straight up don't nano. Or even if they nano, the timing is really bad. So they'll nano me when I don't have my dash up, and then they'll blame me for not having a good blade. So
yeah, some of that is just over. Go ahead.
Yeah, and plus they have really high expectations from Nanoblade. Like, you should always get up 4 to 5 kills per Nanoblade, and like that. So they don't nano, and that's why I don't even ask.
Okay. So that should get better as you rank up, because some of that is rank stuff. Genji is a really good nano target. Nano Blade is probably the best use of nano from a general standpoint. Are there times when you're going to break it and go, hey, Genji's 80% of the way to nano, but Winston just jumped on my Hanzo, and I can nano my Hanzo to both save him and get him to eliminate the Winston, which is not just a save one, it's like a 2-person flip, because it's a save plus an elimination. Like, there's times where you're going to do that type of thing, and nanoing tanks when you're going, hey, my Reinhardt is correct on the engagement timing here, and my Genji's only halfway to blade. Like, that stuff will absolutely happen, and Annas won't wait for your blade. But as we get better, we should see they're much more willing to pair with us. Because Annas tend to get their nano, especially after the ult nerf, quite a bit faster than Genji, you will frequently see them dump their first nano on a tank or on something else. Shouldn't really be Bob. But you will.
Yeah, usually they even nano the Bobs.
Yeah. Nanoing Bob is a little weird, and nanoing hit scan is actually weird to me, because that's very situational. Like, nanoing hit scan has a lot to do with pretty much the situation I described. Like, a Winston jumps on someone and you turn that fight by nanoing them, or it's a much higher level tactic to go, I'm gonna nano a hit scan with a deep angle and trust them to go off. Like, that's a thing, but that's not usually a thing until about Masters, because you just don't trust the aim. Like, nanoing a hit scan is less reliable than nanoing a blade. So that's weird, but we're not going to change them, so we won't worry about it too much. in terms of you trying to farm to keep up, yeah, you want to farm. You want to generally with Genji. One of the strongest Genji playstyles, if you have an Ana and you believe you'll get any of the nanos, is to maximize the number of blades you'll get. I talked about the assassination playstyle in the review that I did for you when I found your code, because you didn't have an Ana, and because, hey, it's a good style to fall back on. It's a good style to make something happen with without your ult. But one of the things, the general thing you want to do with Genji is kind of be a blade bot. Get as many blades as possible that you can turn into nano blades that you can get, 2 eliminations with. That's going to win a team fight. Or that in them using all of their resources to stop you, if you use your blade at the right timing, that means they get run over by your team because they don't have any resources left to stop you. They used all of their flashes, stuns, amps, etc. to try to deal with you while your team is running them over.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, we want our high ground. It's kind of where we started with this.
Yeah.
I require healing.
Unfortunate, but you had reason to know that was coming, so you're doing this. You don't have like all of the tools that we have, but you did actually see a flash of that, and you hear him too. And you do have your abilities. You can leave with dash, which I wouldn't, but you can absolutely deflect this. There's time to deflect this. Unfortunate. And that wasn't like that was your first instant. You actually heard his little hop. You follow what I'm saying? Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. Fine. You're just stalling point. That's fine. Get out now. Will do.
Almost ready. Stop the payload.
Oh boy, that was dangerous. So you're re-entering this, and I actually base it. So you have a game to play here. If you really trust your reflexes, you can go, hey, I want to. Let's back into this rather. Here you are. We're watching. We're coming back at regular speed. You see this happened. Okay, you saw it. So did you see this flashbang in real time? Did you see that your Torb got flashed? Okay. If you didn't see that your Torb got flashed right here, I expect your deflect. And the reason I expect your deflect is unless you know what the McCree's... Unless you know that the McCree doesn't have flashbang, or you really trust yourself to see his hand movement to block his flashbang, you sort of need to pick a time to flashbang him, right? And there's a couple different times you can pick to try to deflect the flashbang, because if you can't react to his hand, you're doing some guesswork over when he's going to use it. And one time that he's potentially likely to use it is when he first sees you / you first enter his range. That's one time that he could do it. So you have to decide, are you going to use deflect there or not? A second time would be when he gets down to the range that you could dash combo finish him. That would be a second time. So you sort of have a, hey, I got you down to a health threshold where you're pressured to do it, or the first time would be right when I enter range. And you have to decide which of those you think he's going to do, and you have to play a little bit of a mental guessing game with him if you can't play the reaction. And here, I got to admit, I kind of expected that you would pop your deflect right as you entered his range, also with the intention of protecting the Torb, because you'd be popping it right as you entered his range, which he's likely to go, hey, I want to flash to try to deal with this Genji, and you know the Torb is low and that people are going to be trying to deflect the Torb, going to be trying to finish the Torb, so you deflecting shots that were meant for the Torb onto the McCree could be pretty powerful right now, right? Like as Hanzo, for example, is going to shoot. Okay. Leaving and Doom. But not by Doomfist.
Yes.
Yeah, I one more thing. I think like in this game, like even if you saw in the kill feed, the McCree is getting all the kills. So I actually really doubt, like actually really have a doubt that he might be a Smurf.
Sure, could
I
be.
actually kind of Yeah, I actually kind of talked to him after the game, and he was like, "Nah, I'm not smurfing. I'm just good at the game." And he just kind of seemed a bit suspicious. So
Sure, sure.
he might be a
Exactly what a
smurf.
Smurf would say,
That's
right? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's
right.
there's no actual way to prove or disprove it. The thing is, it doesn't matter, and that's again because we're focused on not winning the individual games, but getting better at the thing that we're working on. And if we're focused on getting better at the thing we're working on, oh, a Smurf on the other team, that means some better, stronger resisting opponent. A stronger resisting opponent makes your practice better. So it's sort of like, okay, as long as they're not so much better that it's just like, oh my god, we can't move, we can't do anything, a better resisting opponent is mostly just better practice. And we're not in it to win every individual game, so who cares? Really has to be the
Yeah,
response. Um,
yeah,
and I can tell you now, this guy's not so good that like the game's unplayable.
Like looking at the war again, because I looked at it again from his perspective, I kind of got an idea that he's not even master. I think he might be diamond at best. So yeah,
Okay.
not that good.
Okay. Yeah, you weren't in there to deflect it, and you'd have had to read the deflect. You could have potentially read a grab here, and grab is something that you can deflect because Winzars get really aggressive like this. You can think, wait, are you looking to grab? And she hadn't grabbed yet, so it's reasonable to think, wait, do I want to be up there to deflect this? But this was a very short range grab. You'd have had to literally put yourself here getting beamed. It's not an easy Genji thing, so I'm not too worried. I'm not worried at all. This is a more accurate way of saying this. So you're out here. You see that Triana's out there. And you've kind of put yourself here where you don't really have cover. You see that? Like from Genji, with Genji, we want to be playing angles and covers, and you might think of this as an angle because like your Ana was here and you're over here, but like the way this team actually comes through is like this, so you're not really on an angle against them, and you also don't even have like the trees or this. You don't really have any aerial cover. If we're thinking about how do I get an angle on this team, well, your team's likely to push back main, so your angle would be more over here, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then if your deflect is going to end and you're still in the open, you can dash, but I think you thought you weren't in the open anymore.
Yeah, I thought the McCree, I saw the McCree back off, so I didn't dash.
Sure, sure. And we're going to go right this time? Good. Okay, so your Torb is down. You're going to trust distance to help, fine. You could do this. You could do what you're about to do, which is go out here and go poke at this, but where else could you poke at them from where that Hanzo would be less of an issue? This flank exists, right? And you could be like, oh, hey, now McCree might see you, and you might have to deal with that. But if not, you'll just sort of get to, like, chunk tanks in the back, chunk Diva in the back, chunk McCree in the back, right? And then you can still leave just the same way, no problem. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Deflect. Cool. You don't have deflect. I don't know why you're this aggressive. Like, I don't know why you're this aggressive, and you're in a place where you'd have to use your dash to get back to safety, and you're not getting a ton by being out here in the open, right? Like, you can throw your shurikens just as well from here, as you can. I mean, like, yes, the height does help. This does give you a little bit of a different angle, but like, is the value you're getting versus the exposure that you're getting really, does this seem like a good trade-off right now when you don't have your
No.
deflect? If you had your deflect, sure, but you don't, so I don't really want to be here anymore. And now I do want to go into Nanoblade because they're going to try to res. So, like, I know you don't know if you'll get the blade or not, but your team is close enough to force an engage on these guys, right? Or you were before you lost your mech anyway. Like, if you go in for a blade, your team can, mostly Lirzari's taking this angle, Yana's got this angle, like, your team can go forward and fight these guys if you dash in and try to blade them, right? Like, it shouldn't just be you fighting them with your blade. Your team should support it. You can't know that they'll support it, but they're in a position where positionally there's no issue with them supporting it. It's not like they're back here where they can't support it. It's not like the enemy team is, 4 steps back where they're going to take a bit to support it. The enemy team is here. You might like them to be a little closer. You might like your team to be a little closer, but you could very reasonably win this fight with Nanoblade right now, and I'd like to see you try.
Yeah,
now they've...
like.
Oh, go ahead.
Just a question.
Of course.
That if I don't nanoblade over here because, like I told you, but would a dry blade here would a dry blade be good over here?
Would a dry blade be good over here? It still could be because the team is still going to conceivably support it. Now it's probably too late. And what's changed? It matters. They've only backed off a little bit more, but them backing off a little bit more matters because now it's probably going to take your team like 3 seconds to get into a place where they can support the blade, right? Like if you dash in blade, it's probably going to take your team like 3 seconds or so to really get to a place where they're doing it. And that's like half your blade duration. It's not really half your blade duration. It's half of your active blade duration, but some of those 3 seconds will be used by you pulling out your blade, etc. So like I wouldn't go for a blade anymore. But in that previous frame that we were looking at, yes, I'd even have been willing to go for a regular blade, and even if you don't get the nano, your team should be willing to engage off it. It's more dangerous to you because you don't have your damage reduction, and the blade itself is less decisive, but it's still a fairly powerful ult, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You've got no cooldowns, you desperately need cover. Desperately, good. If you can find health from Ana, press X, good. And now you want to go back in for this blade.
My ultimate is ready.
Deflect. Unfortunate. Unfortunate.
Yeah, that's wall dashing.
Okay. Okay. Oh boy. So, I understand why this blade starts poorly. It starts poorly. You sort of pull out your blade in his face when he could potentially flash you rather than above where you're harder to hit. And the reason you do that is you don't have dash because you used it to get back from spawn because you're worried about the card. I understand that. I can live with that. Cool. But, sorry, I need to slow this down to show you properly. Okay, we're going to do this. We'll go it all the way slow. Okay, we're going to slash. And then we do need our dash to hit him. But who do we want to try to get after this dash? Are we going to dash to try and hit him with our slash dash and then be on top of the Ana? Because we sort of need the slash to either hit someone else, who will then be our next target, or at least put us close enough to slash at someone else, right? Like, we already need to be thinking about the next target. Or we need to, like, double slash or something. Because what we can't do, we got him with this. We got him with the slash, which was actually predictable based on his health, based on what you knew. So we really need this dash to either hurt the next person or preferably, either hurt them and put us on top of them, but at the very least put us on top of the next person for us to slash. And ideally that would be Ana, but if that's D.Va, I'm not going to terribly complain. So that's something that needs to happen here, but instead, you're thinking like, oh no, I still need to dash the McCree. Well, I could have been okay with dashing the McCree if you'd needed it, and let's pretend you didn't know that you didn't, but it didn't put you on someone that you now have to run, like you just have to run around with your blade out to get to this Ana, and she's going to run away from you, and you're effectively wasting slashes. These are slashes that you're not going to get out. And this was very doable to go, hey, I slashed the McCree, and I'd even rather slash the McCree a second time than dash to finish him. And not let me rephrase that. Dashing to finish him could be fine if the dash gets back your reset, but this dash won't because it didn't. So like rather than have the air of whoops, I slashed and then I dashed into nowhere, we could be like, okay, the slash was enough, which is something that we would want to know, or we could be like, hey, slash, well, I'll slash you again. And then I'll dash, because that's still going to be better for me than dashing and ending up nowhere, because you're going to run around.
I knew you could do it.
And you're just wasting slashes. Okay, you do get close enough to get the second slash off there, but you're just sort of wasting slash time. So that's less total slashes because you sort of dashed without your plan of who is my next target. Like you didn't have a good plan, or if your plan was Ana, that wasn't a very good route for Ana to be your next plan. Do you understand where I'm going with this?
Yeah.
Okay. That was better.
So basically,
go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, the angle of my dash should have been towards the Ana rather than the door on the right side, right?
Right. You got it. And your slash hitbox is fairly wide. You can like get the edge of the McCree and the edge of Ana and be like, yep, I got both of them. Of course, the McCree was eliminated, but.
I'm on fire.
Why? Is anyone looking at you?
No.
So I'm going to greed more shots. I don't need to leave. Why am I leaving? No, I don't need to leave. I can stay right back there and look for more farm, right? I just used my blade. I desperately need some ult farm. I don't know why you're going back here.
I just kind of...
Intuited that they were coming this way?
No, I just thought that it would be safer to not be too aggressive because, like the McCree is a Smurf, so I thought he would just kill me right off the bat. So I tried to play a bit defensive over here.
Yeah, but the thing that you look at is you still have to trust, if not your own abilities, at least your own information and your own, hey, this is how the game works type stuff. Like the Ana isn't looking at you and no one else was on your screen. So you can go, oh, I guess I'm going to keep trying to chip the Ana, even if I have to open the angle a little more. And if when I open the angle a little more, I see the Hanzo or the McCree is looking right at me, maybe at that point I go, okay, I don't want this. Though the McCree can't one-shot you, and he especially can't one-shot you at that range, even with a Mercy boost, so you'll have a chance to react with deflect if you need to. The Hanzo can one-shot. But, like, if no one's looking at you that's on your screen, and, you're looking in the direction that the enemies will be coming from, you can be more greedy. You don't have to go, oh, the sense of, well, I'm playing too aggressive. Well, are you really? Like, is it too aggressive? It might be too aggressive if you open this and everyone's staring at you. That might be too aggressive. But the situation you left, what was too aggressive about that?
Yeah, because no one was looking at me. That wasn't that dangerous.
Right. So you could have easily taken another shot, maybe gotten another 6-8% ult charge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Right idea. You just needed to respect how dangerous of a situation you were in after you did it. So this happened. You go for your deflect. You immediately change your mind because you go, hey, this happened. And now you need to recognize, hey, the DM is here. I understand why you think you're safe. The DM is across. And then she lets that down, and you would immediately need to dash here, but I understand why you don't. You thought you had DM, and I'm reacting to a frame that you're just not going to... Most people aren't going to react to the frame. I totally understand.
Yeah.
The situation looked reasonable.
I thought, like, the diva was behind me, so I would have gotten time to just escape. But
yeah, no, she was DMing across until literally like 2 frames before you got eliminated.
Yeah.
Okay, but Do I really want to play main with my team as Genji?
No,
Right.
no.
So
I should have been on the angle.
I can go through here, and if I'm trying to farm ult, which is totally reasonable, I can pepper people in the back. Now, I might be far enough away from my ult, and I might feel like we're in enough danger that I might need to go play, okay, I'm trying to get eliminations back here, and we've talked about how to do that. But if you're just trying to go for ult, you just go through here and go do those things. And hey, there's an Ana on your team. It's reasonable to go for ult. It doesn't look like you're about to collapse team-wise. Maybe you are, but it doesn't immediately feel that way. You can go for ult. If you think hey, they've got better ults than us, they're potentially going to roll us, you could go back here and try to play to force a quick elimination on the Hanzo. But while their Valk's going, that's probably not happening. So again, I'm perfectly happy to go for ult back here. And I'm talking about these as like, this is the ult angle, this is the elim angle, but like, it doesn't have to be. You can charge ult from here. Once these guys advance a little bit more, you can get elims from back here. You just wouldn't really go into the middle of their team to try to get elims. You'd like to come in from behind because you don't want to try to get an elim on McCree in the mid line and then have someone behind him see it because, of course, they're going to be able to react to it.
Yeah.
I will not fall.
Initiating.
Okay, so we're obviously going to continue through here. We've got much too willingness to play main. We've got too much willingness to play main rather than take those off angles. You're too comfortable playing in the direction of your team. We saw a lot of that on first. We saw a lot of that on third. Second was kind of just, a snowball breezed right through that. Then beyond that, we've got some things where it comes to beyond playing the angle, we've got, hey, we want to make sure we are actually greeting that ult charge, that we are trying to get that ult charge. We're going, hey, people that can one-shot us, we want to deflect for, but people that can't, we trust that we can deflect in time. We trust that we can shoot when people aren't looking at us. We do want to get that ult charge.
Yeah.
Reasonable. Can't one-shot us. Now you know that there's no longer a Hanzo on the board. Your life got a little easier in some ways.
Yeah, just a question over here.
Sure.
That now there's like a fur on the team, and you can see our team comp is not that good to deal with the Pharah.
Sure.
So should have I changed to McCree or some hit scan?
Do you want to get better at Genji?
Yeah.
Then let's play Genji. And let's just get flexible in our play styles. We might have to get flexible and change how we play a little bit, and we might not be using the best tool for the job, but if we're really good at using, one type of tool, we can probably make it work against someone who's kind of meh at a different tool. Okay, I'm calling heroes tools, but yeah, they are. They're tools that you use to solve problems. Yeah. So, there's different ways that you can play Genji. We've talked about two. We've talked about the Blade Bot, the ult farm method, and we've talked about the elimination. We've talked about two different styles of Genjis, if you want to call them that. And that's not you lock in one style and you play it through the entire match, though sometimes you might. You can have some flexibility between those depending on where your ult charge is, depending on what the ult status of the opponents are, depending on where the card is. Those are things. But there's more that you can do besides that. We can also look at this and go, okay, well, in theory, you could play Genji like a sort of, I don't want to call him a baby diva because baby diva means something else, but you could play him like a budget diva, where it's like, okay, I'm going to not let the Hanzo, the soldier, maybe the Pharah, do work. I'm going to try to sort of zone them out as best I can at crucial moments so that my team does work. That's something that you could do. Get up in a soldier's face, distract them, make them run away, deflect in their face, similar to how a diva would use their mobility and defense matrix to not let them contribute while their team pushes in. You could do something similar. And you could also do something similar to Pharah. So that would be one option. The other option would be, hey, we're going to ignore the Pharah until she comes in close to try to get close enough to get easier finishing shots, and then I'm going to hard swap to her, and I'm going to eliminate her, because I do trust my ability to eliminate her if she gets in close. Like, those are both options and things that we can do, and, you know, the only way you get good at those things is by doing them, is by going, hey, I understand the Pharah matchup, and I understand these are two ways that I can work. I can either get really good at reading the crucial moments that my team needs her to not contribute in order for them to win, because she's not because, you know, her contribution needs to be there for her team to win, and I can keep her out of the fight for 2 seconds or so, or I can, you know, force her to shift up to the skybox where it's really easy to avoid her rockets for my teammates. It's silver, so they still might not, but you can try. Or you can do the, hey, we're going to bait her in, maybe she's going to do some work, but as soon as she gets close enough, I'm going to punish her for it type thing. So those are options. Those are absolutely options. Or you can, you know, do the super skillful, well, I'm just going to beat her with blade every time. But hey, you see more of those at a higher level.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm not too worried about you being on Genji. You might be. Yes, you could be on better heroes, but we're trying to learn Genji, so let's not do that. Okay. I didn't really want this dash, though, because I saw that bubble in plenty of time. And I definitely didn't want to stay in this, right? Like, after that dash, I saw how low health I was, and I was sort of over here. If anything, I wanted to potentially drop, potentially to get out of this fight, and now be playing in from a different angle than my team, right? I can maybe go get this health pack, but I can play in from here, and me threatening from this angle is letting my team in, is making Pharah turn and think about me over here, is making Zarya be aware of me over there, and that sort of unlocks the choke and lets my team in a little more. With you going up here, well, now you're staying like hard in the fight, and do you have the resources to stay hard in this fight with 74 health and no dash?
No, definitely not.
So you just needed to play from the edge, and your contribution is going to be lower from here than it was from here, but it's a whole lot better than you being eliminated. And it does do a fair bit to unlock the choke, to make the red team think about, wait, there's something over there. There's damage coming from that direction. Even if it's, you know, only 30%, 40, 50% of the damage that you do if you were directly in the fight. Okay, you then beat the Pharah because you hate me. It's fine. Cool.
I need healing. Arigato.
I'm on fire. Wipe down my life.
Activating the barrier.
Okay. So you're here. We're here. We're a little more with our team than I like, but you're going to work your way to the right, which is good. You get some healing. I see that she's discorded. I see why you want the elimination, but she does also have that mercy on her. So you're going to need a little bit of help, a little bit of, hey, I see a vulnerability window. You can throw shurikens at her to see if she gets weak, but you're going to want a little more help than just the discord before you're willing to commit. And that's not really it. So what I wanted to do here was really more in the territory of, I can throw shurikens at Pharah. I can do the, hey, I'm going to keep Pharah distracted, annoyed, whatever thing. But I probably wanted to do a little bit more of a, well, maybe I'm going to climb this to get closer to Pharah to make her go, wait, what? And now I have easier time hitting shurikens. And I might have to double jump away from this thing because I don't want her to have easy rockets. But then if in that time an opening happens, if, oh, someone else hit a shot with her, or if Mercy broke off for a second to heal Soldier or anything, now I'm potentially going to dash through here, turn around, and throw shurikens again and finish her off. But I'm looking for a little bit more of an opening before I commit this, because now this is it. This is your all in, and if you don't get her, she knows she's pretty safe until this dashes back, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, was this the crucial moment? Was this exactly the moment that you're... So, like, if this was exactly the moment that your team needed, it could still be worth it, because you are going to drive her off a little bit, only for like a second or two with this. not super effective, but like, hey, your team has some ability to push in during these 2 seconds if that's really what they want. But I don't see your team ready to push hard and confirm in a limb on this full shield Reinhardt or run over this Zarya who still has her personal bubble or anything like that. Do you? So this wasn't your moment. You know, your moment will come. This wasn't your moment. And now it can't be your moment for another 8 seconds, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I know this is complicated. This is... Yeah.
Yeah, like, I just don't know how to deal with Pharahs. They're kind of annoying. It's
Right.
kind of confusing to deal with Pharah Mercy Pocket as Genji.
Right, so that's the thing. You gotta wait for a little bit of health. You've either gotta wait for a little bit of help in the format of her Mercy leaves because someone else on our team is taking damage, like sort of right now. Hey, wait a second, her Mercy, you know, and that's not like a permanent swap, but her Mercy's off her for a moment. A Discord Orb, which you did get, but that's not quite enough help by itself. Neither is her being on another target that she's still right next to by itself. But if you had the same situation where she was on the soldier, Fair was discorded, you had shurikens already on the way on Fair, that might be a big enough situation for you to dash into and then try to turn around and throw another things of shurikens and try to finish her. But you're looking for a little bit bigger of an opening if you're trying to finish her with an actual like remove her type thing. You're looking for a little bit bigger of an opening, or you're looking to do it when your team really can get aggressive, really can take the ground space while she's sort of forced back. Because you see, when you did this play, she did force herself back to a more passive position, and that's good, but it's not good enough unless your team really got something during that time. So, like, you're really looking when playing Genji and Tavera, and this is not, like, a super important matchup for you, because, you know, there's certainly other things that would be more important, would get you more reward to work on in general, but because this is what we're looking at, you're either looking to jump on the Pharah when there's an opening, or her Mercy when there's an opening, and that opening should be bigger than just a Discord Orb. The Discord Orb is super helpful, but you need a little bit more than that, like a little chip damage from one of your teammates on her, or the Mercy to leave, or the Pharah to have messed up their jump boost, something along those lines, or the Pharah to be like hanging over your team while her team's back here type thing, where she's in a more vulnerable spot. Like, you need a little bit more of an opening before you're willing to commit on her. Otherwise, you are better off just going, hey, maybe I pester her a little, or maybe I just farm ult charge type thing, because we can still win fights. We can absolutely still win fights, and this is probably more reliable by going, she's annoying, she's going to do farm work, but I can just keep farming blades. I can ignore her and just keep farming blades, and if she comes in close, I might go for her, but if she doesn't want to come in close, I'll just try to ignore her. I'll try to use cover. I'll try not to get hit. I'll farm blades, and we're still going to win my blade fights. That's probably going to be more reliable, and it's probably the direction I should have taken you the whole time here.
Makes sense.
That was a little, you didn't really have him weak enough. You tried to force that a little. He sort of looked isolated, but you knew he wasn't really isolated.
I thought he was isolated, to be honest.
When I say
he was basically he was the only one on the bus. Sure. And I earlier saw him deploy his biotic field, basically.
Right.
So he couldn't even get his heals, so that's why I dashed in. But of course, the Mercy was just right there to pocket him. So.
Right, but even if the Mercy wasn't just right here, like, it is effortless for him to drop. Like, it's like he's sort of isolated, but he's, like, not actually going to be in any level of trouble because he can drop. That could still be okay, because as long as you don't get punished, you having used your dash doesn't really matter. Yeah, I guess I'm being too harsh, because even though he is in no danger of getting eliminated because he can drop for help very easily, that doesn't mean that he's going to get help up here, because him getting help up here is a lot harder, and you don't care if he drops. You can just climb up over here. Yeah, I'm being too harsh. Okay, that was fun. So this is just a literally, hey, let's track how many teammates we have where. Like, wait a second, everyone ahead of us is red. Where's our team? Like, oh. It's literally us pressing tab when we're waiting to spawn.
Yeah.
Helden sterben nicht.
No, 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 you're purple. This is scary. Good, drifting right. Fine. Sure. Great. And now you're gonna do that, and now you're gonna dash again. Even better. Okay. Clean up, sure.
We will fight again.
Angle harder left.
Activating the barrier. Activating the barrier.
Okay, you're about to open an aggressive angle. Where's your team? Nocturne, do you have a feel for where your team is as you're gonna open this?
Mm, I think they are like down, literally in the main where
Like in the
like
tunnel thing?
no, outside the tunnel, like they are at the opening of the tunnel maybe.
Okay, so they're at the
I,
opening on second point, not third point side, right?
yeah.
Okay, so we actually know that at least two of them are touching cart. And we also know cart literally just capped, so cart isn't even to the opening of the tunnel yet, right?
Hmm.
Because if you look at where cart caps, and it's going to give it away. Cart caps on this box, and the opening of the tunnel is here, right? So I wouldn't really consider your Zen and your Diva at the tunnel. I guess you could consider your Diva at the opening of the tunnel, but like really Sigma's at the opening of the tunnel, Moira's sort of at the opening of the tunnel. These guys can sort of contribute down the tunnel, I guess, but now I've sort of given it away of, okay, your team is sort of ready to fight the front line of this team. They're not in
Yeah.
any way like here ready to actually threaten the whole team, right?
Hmm.
So you can come out here, but if you come out here, you're going to be in this situation where how in this fight is your team?
Yeah, like if I engage, everyone is gonna look at me, of course.
Right, right. And you've got high ground, so you can then leave, but you just got to be hyper aware that it's not so much it's a greedy engage as it's an expected low reward engage. You can take this engage just for a little bit of poke, but you got to be ready to back out real fast, and you got to accept that I'm probably going to pull somewhere between 2 and 4 eyeballs to me pretty quick. And, so maybe I get 6% ult charge, and then I go get the health back, 8% ult charge, and then I go get the health back. If no one's paying attention to me, great. I'll farm the Reinhardt in the back, in the head, whatever, with shurikens. Hopefully I can get double shurikens at this range. Cool, that'll be fine. But you're ready for a bunch of people to be looking at you and you don't expect to stay in very long because your team isn't really a credible threat right now, right?
Hmm. Yeah.
So like you should already be going, nope, they pre-fired, I don't like this, I'm popping deflect, I'm already leaving, that type of thing. Instead, you're like trying to stay in for some reason. Like this is like you trying to real engage, like go hard, which doesn't make any sense. This was always a step out, throw shurikens type situation, not a step out, look for dives type situation, which seems to be what you're doing.
Yeah. I think I just misjudged the positioning of my team right
Yep.
there.
I think tracking
That
where
was the
your team
problem.
is before you engage would help. It doesn't mean you never
Yeah.
engage when your team isn't ready, because you can get a little bit more ult charge by greeting it sometimes, and you sort of need that as Genji, but you understand how it changes the danger level, and how long you expect to be able to stay in.
I need healing. Arigato.
That's a lot of heal juice that she used for not very much HP. Okay. Sure. Yeah. I don't know how weak she is. I've got no idea. I'm not dashing at this without knowing how weak she is. I want to connect with some shurikens before I dash. Like, yes, I do like the, hey, I throw shurikens, I dash behind the shurikens, and all of it hit her, and it's a ton of burst damage. I do like that, but I actually want to know her health first. I do want to hit at least one shuriken to get a feel for her health before I go for this combo right here. Because look how much health she still has left after that. And now she knows that you can't challenge her. Plus, you dropped yourself in the middle of the enemy minefield.
Yeah.
I'm under attack. Helden sterben, Regierung gewinnen.
You just wiped them out with blades. Don't have to anymore. Oh boy. Unfortunate. You guys took down Pharah. I'd still potentially be okay with you blading here, but you took down Pharah and you're using Coalescence right now. Okay. They did just shatter, so I cannot... Yeah, they did just shatter. Okay. It's unfortunate that Tyre gets pulled at the same time. I'll live with that. I'd have staggered her, but that was never going to happen in this game, so I'll live. Okay, we're on the angle now, and we can absolutely just pressure the Zarya for ult. I don't see a need to leave yet. Great. Is Soldier paying attention to us?
No.
Zarya's probably going to throw a right click at us, but she can't left click us at this range, and we can deflect if we want to deal with the right clicks, right? Plus, we can double jump, and she's never going to hit us with right clicks when we double jump. So, I see no need to leave yet. No need to leave yet, and for some reason, you're leaving. Now you go back, that's good. Ana, good. Line up the Ana pressure. Now she can't really challenge you. You've got her nade out, that's great. Unfortunately, even though you did good stuff here, you put some pressure on them, you got Ana's nade out, you did good stuff, your team still lost the frontline battle, that still happens. This was good, other than the fact that you weren't greedy enough is what you did wrong here. But this overall was a good little off-angle farm, pressure, etc. You got some ult charge out of it, you made their Ana uncomfortable, you made their Ana use her nade, like, hey, Aunt Rosario was at half health vulnerable for someone else to combo and finish off for a bit there. There was some good stuff that you did here. But it's time to leave. Go back into the high ground, yep. Sure. No. I don't like what you just did, because you have this high ground, and you can jump out here if you want, but you have to be able to double jump back, and you compromised your ability to do that, and now you're just going to drop into, well, this. And I'm sure you immediately see, wait a second, what am I doing? What am I doing?
Yeah.
And you did a little bit of this on first, too, when it didn't make sense, so...
Yeah. That's basically the thing which was happening in like the last word you reviewed, that I was taking a high ground, but I was just not getting shots on the enemy. So it's just like I was getting the high ground. That's it. I wasn't hitting the targets with shuriken. So that's why I was like, okay, let's just drop down. So at least I can hit some shurikens.
I know, but you'll get better at that high ground work. The more you do it, as long as you work on doing it, and now you actually work on hitting your shots, you're not just mindless about left clicking and right clicking. Like, as long as you actually think about trying to aim, you will get better and better at hitting those shots. And this is another example of we didn't really want to drop here. We wanted to go through here, and oh, okay, we'll 2v1 the soldier. And then we go out here, and we might greed a couple shots, but then we back off, maybe get our health back, whatever, or maybe we go this way, I don't care. And then when our team is like here-ish and applying some real pressure, then we can get for real, and it's going to be hard for them to remove us because they can't focus on the mosquito that is Genji while they're also focusing on your front line. And if they do focus on the mosquito that is Genji while your front line is set, you go, oh, cool. You close the angle, they're focused on you, or you just do what you can to survive, and your team runs them over type thing. We didn't want to drop here because now it's good that you're at a different angle from your Sigma, but it's not as good as if you'd gone through up here.
Yeah.
Because again, you just see your Junkrat went down, and that doesn't happen if you've gone high ground. You guys would have 2v1 into flex.
Yeah.
Still don't really want this. And again, even if this is a situation where, like, one thing that could help our team advance might even be us being up here. Like, okay, well, now if you guys try to walk out at all, we can pressure you. Or if they're just like, your team really can't advance at all, maybe we go out over here and we go, okay, well, now I'm pressuring your Mercy from back here. I bet that's going to pull back some resources that's going to cause you guys to back up and let my team advance a little more, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Good. Okay. You can force your way through it. It's annoying, but you can do it. Well, maybe not. Okay. Where do you go? Where do you go? Where should you have gone?
I think on the left side.
Yeah.
Maybe.
There's an argument to be had for, hey, I'm pursuing staggers and we want to push up and just get these staggers, and the fastest way is forward to get the staggers. There's an argument for that, but I don't think you're immediately going to finish off these staggers. So I want you to instead invest, go over here. Turns out you'd find a Pharah that you could finish off. But if she wasn't there, then you're still going to get a chance to shoot these guys. They'll have backed up a little bit more by then, so you'll be shooting them in the side, not the back. But oh, hey, that works. Plus you've got a better spot to deal with respawners, etc. So yeah, if you can't immediately get on top of staggers to finish them, set up for the next fight with your angles. You Junk can do this. Okay. I'm sure Moira's corpse will be happy to provide that healing. Okay.
Leave this to a professional.
deflect in his face was a little surprising. No deflect there is even more surprising. Like, this is, I'm gonna dash at that and deflect because I desperately need to shut down that ult. Rocket showers are in the weather forecast if your team doesn't like it.
Yeah. I would just slow on that maybe.
All good, all good. Okay, so chat, I see you guys. I know I've ignored you all review. I will catch up to some degree on you guys, but I'm going to do my wrap up here first. So, Nocturne, when I look at you, what we're going to do is we're going to upgrade your off-angle playstyle, and we're going to do that by having you work on 3 things. You're going to work on them one thing at a time, but we're going to sort of power up your off-angling by thinking in 3 things. The first thing is, I want you to consistently do it. You are too comfortable just dropping down and playing with your team, playing with your team. You do try to take an angle away from your team when you play with your team. Like, your team is here and you try to angle out here. Your team is here and you try to angle out here. And that's good, but I actually want you, when available, to more strongly consider taking different routes. Like, consistently taking different routes and, not going, oh, I'm up here and let me drop and join my team. This is worse than this was. And this can turn into either of these, which are better. So, like, you might get into situations where you can't do this because there's a Tracer on the other team and she's unfortunately the better duelist and you can't force your way through, type things. But hey, you can go with your Junkrat and you can definitely do it. Or in these situations, they don't have anyone that's particularly good Fairs and Soldiers. Who cares if you run into either of those? So you can absolutely go, hey, I can force my way through here. I'm happy with the matchups against either of those heroes, and I go take these spots. So I want you to, first thing first, be like, no, I am taking these different flank routes, and then I can contribute from the flank. And, like, I want to do that basically as often as possible. Anytime it's not going to have me massively late to the fight, and anytime I'm not going to run into things that are just like, well, I cannot force my way through, I want you doing that. Do you understand the why, and do you think you understand the how of doing that? Do you think that's something that if you focus on, you can do, or do you think you're missing blocks for understanding, like, when you can do that, or why you should do that, or anything like that?
Like, well, with me, I feel like my main thing is I understand what I'm supposed to do, but I don't understand the timing.
Sure.
When to do that.
Absolutely.
And that kind of even the same problem kind of even occurs when I try to blade. So you should have seen in the VOD too that my blade timings are like off.
Yep.
They're not like on point. So
yep.
Yeah, I think the main problem with me is like timing. I just don't know when to engage or when to take those off angles like you told me to.
I'm really glad you brought that up, because that was actually one of the 3 things, because these are all going to reinforce the off angle strength. The second thing I wanted to get into specifically was going to be, before you engage, like before you actually finish opening one of these angles. So you're going to go take this angle on your way back. You're going to go take this angle while you're waiting for your team to come back, because you move at what, like 6 meters per second, while they move at 5.5, plus you have dash, all those things. You're going to go take this while your team is respawning, or while your team is figuring out what they want to do. You're going to take your angles. And then for opening your angles, before you actually move yourself out of neutral space into enemy controlled space like this, from neutral space into enemy controlled space like this, I want you to look through the walls to see where your teammates are. I want you to press tab to figure out how many teammates and how many enemies are alive, and I want you to look through the wall to see where your teammates are. Because you can tell where your teammates are if you can see pretty well that your teammates are here. That means they're ready. If on the other hand you see your teammates are back here, they're not ready. If you see a teammate is up here, they're ready. As in, they're ready to do something to the enemy if the enemy gets engaged upon. So, like, I want you anytime before you transition from space that your team controls or neutral space into space that's threatened by the enemy, which could be neutral space or could be enemy space. I want you, before you transition into that more dangerous space, to look where your team is, okay? So like
Okay.
you can see them through walls, and it may delay you for a second, and that's fine. It may delay you for 2 seconds. That's fine. We're going to press tab to check how many people in both teams are alive, and we're going to look through walls to see where our team is, and then based on that information, we're either going to decide this is a very light engage, where it's not even really an engage, it's just me doing a little bit of poke from an angle that the opponents don't know I have, where I'm trying to hit a couple shurikens, get 6, 8, 12% ult charge would be amazing, but 6 to 8% ult charge, fine, and then I'm looking to close. So it's like I'm throwing out 1 to 2 shuriken volleys, and then I'm probably done. And I can't really go back in after that because the opponents know I'm here and they'll be pre-sitting here with their crosshairs, right? So I'm sort of going to have to wait.
Yeah.
And even if I wait a second or two, unless my team does something that calls some attention to them, I can't really go back in. On the flip side, if I checked and I saw 6 of my teammates are alive and I can see they're set up around like here-ish and here-ish, now, this can be a real engage, and I can either go deeper with this engage, I can either go in and actually turn this into an I'm trying to get eliminations, or I can make this a more serious farm, where I throw shurikens, and hey, they're not looking at me because they're looking at my team, so I can continue to throw shurikens. And if they do look at me, I can close the angle for a second and a half, and they can't afford to keep keeping their crosshair on this angle that I'm on because they're getting shot by my team. They're getting rained on by my Junkrat. So I know because I had the full team here, or I had more or as many teammates as they did, and my teammates are in positions, I can roughly tell through the walls. So then, a second and a half, a second later, I reopen and I go back to farming again. Or now I creep into a position. Probably I go back to farming. But you see how that works, where it's like, if my teammates aren't really ready, but the opponents don't know I'm here, I might peek and throw a couple shurikens until they start paying attention to me, and then I'm just sort of done, and I'm waiting for my team. Maybe I even have to back off. I could change to a different angle and then farm them for a couple shurikens from here. But if my team is ready, now this is a little more real. I might not farm at all. I might creep in and try to go get an elimination, or I might put myself in a situation where I just go, I'm going to throw like half a dozen shuriken volleys from here because you can't really afford to pay attention to me. And if you do, great. I'm tanking your attention while hiding behind a wall. And then I go back out second later, and you can't have been paying attention to me, so you flipped back to paying attention to my Reinhardt, and now I'm going to throw 3 more shuriken volleys before you pay attention to me again. So, like, that's the second thing. So the first thing is I want you to take these off angles. I want you to go take these flanks, even when it feels like, oh, wait, should I do? The only time I don't necessarily want you to take these flanks and off angles is when you're coming back as a respawner, or you're late to the fight type thing. Like, you're late to the fight, sometimes I'm going to want you to go most of the way back. I'm not going to want you to go try to set up a good off angle, etc. And by the time you're there, the fight has moved on to over here, and your off angle took you longer to set up and doesn't impact where the fight is. So I want you, when your team is setting up, when your team is coming back, use the speed you have, use your advantage to go take these off angles. And then before opening these, I want you to understand where your team is and how many of them are alive. And then based off of that, I want you to understand how much happens here. And then the third thing I want you to do, and I specifically want you to fix this, is please be more greedy. If people aren't looking at you, keep throwing shurikens. You don't need to go behind cover. Okay. You can see where they're shooting you from. Or where they're, like, oh, you're not shooting at me? I'm going to keep throwing shurikens. Oh, Zarya's just throwing right clicks? Great, I'll double jump over them and keep throwing shurikens. That's what I'm looking for. Those are the 3 things I want you to work on, and all of those are going to lead to you having better off-angle play, better flank play, and farming better ult. But I've really broken that down into 3 separate pieces for you that I think you can work on one at a time. So do you see how each of those work, and hopefully do you see how those work together?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Then I think you're good to go. Do you have any other questions, comments, concerns, anything like that?
Actually, just about nanoblading and
Sure.
dry blading in general, that when should the engage timings of dry blade and nano blade should be?
They're the same engage timing. But what you're looking to do is you want to pull out your blade, go and pull out your blade when it is hard for the opposing team to disengage. You want it to be one of the first big things that happens in the fight. So like, hey, this fight has started. This might even be the signal that this fight has started, but you don't want it to be, hey, you want it to be, you pull out your blade when it is hard for the opponents to disengage from a fight with your team. Maybe the opponents were advancing and they didn't quite get in Reinhardt melee swing range with the other Reinhardt, but they're here where it's like, oh shoot, backing away from this fight is going to be hard. It's going to cost them real stuff to back out of the fight. Maybe they already had their Valk going, so they're going to have to give up their Valk. Maybe they've advanced most of the way to your team or halfway to your team into the open, but like they've left their corner type thing and they've advanced into they've started to advance. And maybe they didn't make it to your team and you go, nope, I'm dashing up, I'm pulling out my blade, I'm doing my work. Your team will recognize your blade most of the time as an engage signal, and they will push forward into the other team. Even in silver, they should mostly do that. Not all of them, but they should mostly do that. So you want to create a situation where if they turn and they spend Bash and Lucio Boop and Roadhog, Breather, and Zarya Bubbles to deal with your blade, all of this, well, your team is already running into them, and these guys aren't able to back out, or they're going to try to perhaps back out while you're blading them, but your team is already too close to them, either because your team was already advancing on them, or they were already advancing on your team. So like you want to pull out your blades when it's going to be costly for the opponents to disengage. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I hope we've left you in good shape here. You should have some real stuff to work on. I'm sorry to hear that you're not getting nanos, how I would like Genjis to get nanos, but I think you've got some good stuff here to make sure you're getting more blades, and once nanos start seeing you doing good blades, you should start getting some nanos.
Yeah.
Okay, then if you don't have anything else, I'm gonna catch up on chat here, but I think we're good to go. But don't let me rush you. If you've got something else you need to cover question-wise, go ahead.
Nothing else to ask over here. That was pretty much all I wanted.
Fantastic. Then you're good to go.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
No problem, man. No problem. Best of luck to you. And,
Yeah.
I hope to see you next time, and I hope to hear about, the phenomenal off-angling, flanking, super annoying Genji that you are.
Yeah. Thank you so much, and have a good day.
No problem. Later, man. Peace. Okay, I'm going to catch up on chat here. If you guys are enjoying the content, please do like and subscribe. If you would like to get coaching like you saw in this session, you can join my Discord in the description below. See what my rates look like, see what sort of promos, special events we have going on, all of that good stuff. So, let's take a look here. Catching up on chat, we had some Game Buster stuff. No, I do not believe that was the official voice of Genji, but, that could have been cool. Is Nano Genji that good that as Ana you should always try to get a Nano Blade instead of nanoing someone else? Not always, but yes, it's probably the best use of Nano in most situations. But there are other good nanos, and we talked about them earlier in the video. And you're not always going to wait for your Genji because you do tend to get it faster than him, especially since the ult charge nerf that he got. Nanoing tanks, especially at lower levels, is more reliable. That's why I was surprised that they talked about nanoing. Is nanoing hit scan? Nanoing hit scan is... Sorry, I don't mean to say nanoing tanks is more reliable than nanoing blades. I'm just saying tanks are a pretty reliable nano at low levels. At higher levels, you start to run into a little bit more of, hey, I'm nanoing the deep off-angled Ashe, who is a really aggressive position to the level of her position is almost a feed. Not she's standing in the middle of the enemy team, but she's really deep with her off-angle type thing, or Hanzo, or whatever the case might be, because they have the aim to make that work, and they do hit pretty good breakpoints with those. So those things happen. but not so much at low level. Nano Blade is pretty reliable even at low level. And again, that doesn't always mean the Genjis can get 4 eliminations with Nano Blade, but if he's not, if he's using his blade at a good time, and your teams are close to each other when it's being used, your team should pretty consistently either win the team fight or draw a bunch of ults in response. And again, that's just how ult economy works. Okay. Played Genji a few times after 5 years of avoiding him, and all I can think is, I see why people enjoy playing this so much. Oh, yeah. And then we've got James checking in. This calls for healing is a spot where it can't be healed. Yeah, that was at the beginning. That was a little rough. Okay. Played Ana alongside a Diamond Genji, and who had 3-2-1 voice ping just before he dashed up for Nana, made it easy to coordinate. Yeah, 3-2-1, it's a little harder as the game gets faster and as people get better to always do 3-2-1 count. You can run into the same thing with dive, but you do as Genji get good at understanding where your Ana is and respecting that. You want to hit the engage at a certain time, and that's why you can't always do the 3-2-1, because it's what I was talking about at the end of this review with like, hey, you want to use it as the other team is committing or as the other team has just hit a position where it's going to be very expensive for them to back out of the fight. Like, you're going to get staggers if they try to back out of the fight. You know, their Rhine Shield's going to break, and they're still going to have to cover a lot of distance if they back out of the fight, that kind of thing. And because you want to hit that timing, you can't always perfectly predict that, or if you do, you're changing the cadence of your count speed, which will annoy some people. Yeah, if you're not using voice chat, Z twice is a good indicator. And queuing them on dash is fine. If you see they're clearly dashing above a team, that's fine. I prefer to queue them as they're pulling out their blade, but yes. And I'd also prefer to, as you get really good, not always demand the, well, dash up above them, because that's not always the best thing in the world, but that does help a lot on ladder. Oh, right, the McCree freeze frame. I wonder if Temporal's pen tool also supports less ugly colors. If I bought the Pro version, it probably would. Yeah, I think it starts with these 4, but I would very much expect that I could change out or get a bigger color palette if I paid them money. McCree was the belief of the Smurf. I don't know if it was true or not. I've never had a Genji deflect my grab when I grab to counter Nanoblade. I don't know why, considering how often I do it. There's a lot of pressure on them to not be using deflect while they're nanoblading, right? Like, they're ticking down their time. So, yeah. Confirm ult is useful if you're not 100% sure. You can nano on the spot. You're able to tag him before he starts bouncing around. Just hit confirm to do it at nano at the right time. It's okay. I'm not personally a fan of it, but yeah, some people swear by it. Probably more useful on console. Could be. Congaboom found the lunchtime Genji. And then James saying, does Temporal ever really roast someone when they are right there in voice with him? Not heavy roasts generally, but I will occasionally do a really? You're sure about that type answer? Like, I don't do my heaviest roasts, but I can turn it up to like a 60 or a 70 sometimes. Not frequently, but it does sometimes happen. Right. It's not terribly productive because most people recognize their mistake immediately type thing. And the point of the roast is sort of a, come on, guys, you got to see this type thing. And as soon as you know that they've seen it, you don't really need to keep going hard into it. Play Genji. You have a Mercy VOD coming up at some point? Yep, I believe I've got your Mercy VOD coming up next. So stick around, guys. I believe this is the VOD that I'm doing next. My friend likes to use my work here is done after he does a blade and gets 0 eliminations. Nice. Your teammates are definitely tools. Ouch. Budget Diva. Okay. Summer Kid Slay says, Temporal, would you say it's better to pick your DPS heroes based on the team comp each game? Or just stick to a pool like 2 to 3 DPS heroes and keep playing them only? I would say work on what you're trying to work on. Comp is for leveling up your own play, so whatever you're trying to work on, you should generally work on. Specifically try to work on, and that's probably on a hero. Maybe you're working on things on 2 heroes at a time, but you're generally going, hey, I am trying to play to get better, and that means I'm working on stuff while playing. When you're specifically seeking a new a new peak, a new SR peak, because that's going to potentially allow you to qualify for tryouts on better teams or something like that, that's fine. You can, in that case, go, I'm going to swap to things that make sense as long as they're in your hero pool. Please don't play things that you have zero comfort with. So that's fine, but the majority of the time that isn't what you should be doing. You shouldn't be playing for new peaks. You should be playing to get better. And if you're playing to get better, play what you're working on. Don't swap to the optimal comp. Unless you need to solve a specific problem, like, oh, I just need to solve this Bastion real quick because it fundamentally changes how the game is played. But I honestly wouldn't even do a ton of that. And you could do it like, I'm going to solve this fair real quick, but you can't guarantee that the fair is going to swap. You can't guarantee that, etc. Genji Junkrat into a pharmacy is going to be a tough game. Yeah, a little bit. Which DPS does this guy play? I mean, Genji was his review that we sniped off Reddit as a freebie, and Genji was his first review here that we went and did more officially. So, Genji is my answer. Oh, come on, mouse. Stop fighting me. Let's try that again. Okay. So that's fine. Awareness of your own team, especially non-support, is something that needs to be developed. That's true. That's true. I'd say support players need it too, to a certain degree. Oh, I missed the super chat almost. Adam Nicholas stopping in with the super chat to say temporal sucks, I guess. Thank you, Adam. I very much appreciate that super chat for $1.99. Okay, against a scoped in Ana, you can go for triple headshot, left click dash. Yeah, the scoped in Anas don't move very hard. Don't move very much. They're slowed down by that scope. Very nice. Would a flank on high ground do well on third point here? Yes. Once the card is rounded the corner, a flank through high ground over like this is totally valid. Has some good strength to it. No problem with that whatsoever. Val is reminding that 5 people, which now looks like 3 people, forgot to smash that like button. Smash the like button 3 times for maximum effect. 3 times could work, but even just smashing it once to make sure it then says subscribe. Oh no, the like button to make sure, you know, the thumbs up is lit up. That works pretty good. That works pretty good. Okay. If I join Discord voice, can I do the video intro? Hi guys. Val. Here, coming at you with more mercy. Temporal will be joining us today for VOD review. Now smash the like button. That could be fun, actually. Yeah, we could probably do that. Sounds like a great idea. Yeah, that could be fun. Then we've caught up to Adam's super chat for $1.99. Thank you again, Adam. And okay. Thanks for the review. I'll get back to you once I get better at those 3 points. Okay, Mercy VOD next. Cool, I need some Nano Valk pistol tips. Okay. So we're going to head into an next review. I probably need 5 minutes to set that up, but I hope you guys stick around. If you are not already a watcher, the best way to know when these reviews go live is to join the Discord, go to that get notification section, react to get the watcher role, and then you'll get Discord pings when I go live. So you can be here right when these start, or you can at least see what VOD we're going to do, what topic we're going to cover to see if it's interesting to you. I missed your comment. What was Gary F's comment? I don't think I did, Gary F. Unless you mean a comment you put on a video. I don't see any other comments from you, Gary F, in the chat here. So I'll give you a second to remake your comment if you like, but I don't see any comments in the chat here. I did not miss your comment. It's not there. So maybe it got auto-deleted or something, but there's no comment there that I'm missing. I'll give you a second. Going to give you just a second, but your comment may have to make it into the next video because I've sort of run out of things to stall with at this point, and this video is already quite long, has already gotten quite long, so it may have to make it in the next one. Okay, I think that's going to do it. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks. Temporal out. For real this time.